the program for yesterday was rolled out. Also, the day's end states, yesterday, the integrated mission planning teams started the planning, and they are all aware of their responsibilities. So this is what took place yesterday. Now, going by activities for yesterday, there are some observations which were made, and those observations, those are the ones which were supposed to bring out, so that maybe there are some mistakes, they are corrected. So for observations, I would want to come out from the directing staff, the mentors, and observers. So the floor is open for observations for yesterday. Yes, sir.
Before going to that, may I introduce the last session? There's one foreign person who have just joined us. I would request that he goes in the front there and he faces us, greets us, is Kenao Mustafa, is from African Union, who should have been with us yesterday, but now is with us. And as you may be aware, this has been a missing link from all our planning, not only at SADC, also including ECOWAS. So their response, I'm glad that finally is here. We have had the chat about everybody chat with him. So I think now forward is we are going to have the full-time representation of African Union in all our deliberations. So we are here as the mentors to spearhead your agenda as African Union, because we are part and parcel of you. We can just beat the DSS.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, John. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Mustafa. I'm from the African Union. I work as the First Generation Officer for the BSOD. It's an honor to be here as a representative for the African Union. And as you know, the scenario that you are taking care of is African Union scenario. And me as a First Generation Officer, it's a great opportunity to assist how our document, how our policies is being implementing in such like scenarios. I'm looking forward to work with you also this week, so we can put spot on the shortfalls, the weaknesses. So when we return back, we know how can we amend our policies and documents in respect of the feedback from such an exercise. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, my brother. Can continue.
Yes, sir. The commander, sir, before you came, I was told that we started the brief and we had started, that I will again go through.
Go ahead, there's a lot of mission. Forget about college hierarchy now.
Yes, sir.
Continue.
Yes, I said we have a short morning brief to look at what activities that took place yesterday. So the aim for this brief is to take observations of the previous day and then roll out the program of activities for today. So I looked at what took place yesterday. I mentioned that the exercise control was established. Then the directing staff, team chiefs were confirmed yesterday in their integrated mission planning teams. The staff rhythm was set. The CJAX was also out. The CJAX information was given out. Mentors were integrated yesterday. Open ceremony took place. Then the SRCC had his mission brief yesterday. Then confirmation of team chiefs and the cell coordinators, where they confirmed yesterday that they should understand what what they are supposed to do. Then the planning started yesterday. So looking at the program for yesterday, we had looked at the program before we started the exercise. So with what took place yesterday, the day's end states is that the integrated mission planning teams started planning, and all the coordinators, they know their responsibilities. So this was the day's end state for yesterday. So now looking at what took place yesterday, there were some observations that were made. Maybe we bring out those observations so that maybe where we went wrong, we can correct the situation. So there are a number of observations that were observed by directing staff and the mentors. So I think we are free to bring out those observations. Yes.
Yes, sir. In my team, I would say.
Which team? Tell us the team.
The integrated mission planning team number 3. Thank you, sir. I would say, while there was that general understanding of the situation, of the prevailing situation, there seemed to be a bias towards the military aspect. And you could even tell from the language that was being used by the military component commander, where he would indicate that at times they would want to impose certain decisions, which then prompted even the head of mission to advise and say, remember, this is not a peace enforcement, but rather it's a peace support operation. So I feel overall it is important for us as the DS to then try and emphasize, impress upon the students, so that the integration part of it is incorporated in their plans.
I think on what you are saying, before they started the exercise, the students, they were briefed on that. And remember, they are all military, but the exercise which they are going to be in is more civilian. And they were told that they should remove that cape of military. They are all now civilians. Even those who are in the military component, they were also told that to behave, also to know how they should work with their civilian colleagues. I think that's what we should emphasize. I don't know if there are additions on that one. Yes, sir.
I think this also comes through in the way that the presentations are made. All of the presentations I saw yesterday were very rigid, very military precise. That's not how a briefing would happen in a policy environment. In the aid memoir, Annex E has some very, very useful tips on how to do presentations. It's obvious that none of the people that I saw yesterday had seen this. I think it's very important that the DS bring to the attention of their students Annex E. It's only a few pages. I'll try and extract them so that they can be printed up as separate documents. But it's very, very useful. We would not have seen some of the mistakes that we saw yesterday in terms of typeface and all of that on PowerPoint if they'd read this. So that's very, very important.
I think directing staffs are encouraged to go through the aid memoir. I think yesterday I had given out the soft copy. So in that same soft copy in the aid memoir, what the head of mission is mentioning there, it's there.
I think they were forwarded. I think they put around. That should be printed.
Yes,
The
sir.
production again for the all integrated planning teams. Let's the DSS receive a copy. So that we kill this one Sunday.
Yes, sir. Any other observations? Yes, sir.
I saw when I was in the IFPT rooms earlier, they're starting to work on the matrix. Have they been properly briefed about what the matrix is meant to do? Because in previous years, they've regarded it very much as a briefing tool, which it's not. It's a planning tool. These are the pencil notes that they make before they actually get into it, before they get into the final production. It's not the final production. It's not the presentation that they're going to make. Also, I think that they're going to probably need more guidance on how to do the matrix. Using your black books, you've got examples there of each of the lines of operation with suggestions which you can use to prompt the students to think. Otherwise, they're not going to get past, they're not going to get into second order analysis at all if you leave them to their own devices. I don't know what your experience as DS has been so far with the matrix.
So the chief of staff, I don't know if you observed that one, which is being brought out. Those who are chiefs of staffs in the integrated mission planning teams.
In my case, it's unfortunate. I just arrived here. I didn't take time to check on what they're doing.
It is our duty, like yesterday when I think I did the brief to everyone, where those directing staff who are supposed to be chief of staff in those integrated mission planning teams. I think we had mentioned that they are the ones who are in charge of those integrated mission planning teams. And if anything, other directing staff are supposed to go through you. So you are the ones who are supposed to be on the ground to check what is happening in the integrated mission planning teams. If we allow everyone to be there, then it will be chaos, because everyone will be bringing his own ideas. So the best is you are in charge there, take responsibility of whatever is happening there, so that if anything is pointed out, you are the one to correct the situation. It is through you, the team chiefs. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I think I would prefer standing with your kind permission. I have a little, I'm Kanapani, observer from Ghana. I have a little difficulty with the position of the chief of staff. Once we make a DS, the chief of staff, he has essentially become part and parcel of the IMPD. So if anything goes wrong, he will have to own it. When we come in there, we point out lapses, weaknesses, inadequacies. He bears responsibility. He shares that responsibility. I think that in order to exercise the students effectively, that position, that appointment should go to the student, so that the student becomes the chief of staff and then runs the show over there. Now, again, the DS, another DS being there, who will also be assisting, his location is very critical. If the DS is in there, he has also essentially become part and parcel of the team. So he will also bear responsibility for the inadequacies, weaknesses, and lapses, because he was there and saw through everything from the beginning to the end. So we go in there to listen to them. So probably what can be done is that DS be taken out. He has responsibility for the that team, but he should not be in location. Once in a while he pops in. They should know where he is. If they need guidance and anything, request for information, they go to him. But if he's inside there, he's part of the. And then again, when we come in there and we start hammering out the observations, he may not feel very comfortable. Conversely, the students who feel that, well, this is what the DS approved and then we did. So you see that it puts the DS in a very difficult position. So probably it might be too late now to want to change the whole dynamics, but we need to take a certain look at it so that maybe the chief of staff side, we can't do anything, but the location of the DS, we should detach him a little bit. He should be somewhere. They should know where he is. He should be popping in every now and then, instead of being in there from the beginning to the end. That will not be quite okay. Thank you very much.
Can I just come in there? Thank you very much, Phil. That's very useful. Certainly it's something we should bear in mind for following years. I think it's probably too late in the day to change that now. The reason that we do it this way is because we've only got a very short planning cycle. We've only got effectively 3.5 days to achieve before we get into rehearsals and presentations. And unless the students are guided very much hands-on by the DS, then nothing happens. They will go all over the place. Students in an IMPT, dealing with them, bringing them together, getting them to cohere, is a bit like trying to herd cats. It's very, very difficult. So I would actually argue that the DS has to play a more prominent role in getting the students to think things through. The way that the guidance is given is essential. You know, it can't be totally directive, but again, it can't be hands-off. If you see students going wrong, tell them. They haven't got time to mess around and to experiment. Okay. I don't know if there's any other opinions on that. Yes.
I have an opinion. I want to believe the has commendations about mentor. I want to believe the whole purpose and essence of the DS being there is to facilitate, but not to provide solutions.
Right.
Yeah. So, like the colonel from Ghana was saying, I want to believe they don't necessarily have to dwell there the entire period of planning. They should come give the students the push, and the product and solutions should be the students, not the DS. And even when the mentors and others come in, it shouldn't be perceived as if they're creating the DS. No, he is there to provide guidance, but the solution is of the students. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think that observation is quite okay and correct. So the DS, firstly, we must be mindful of the short planning period we have. We are just for 3 days. To just give the train of the trainers. The DSS themselves, they must go on top of things that understand the scenario and everything thoroughly. So that now when it comes for them to play the role of the chief of staffs, what is being brought out is correct. Is there to maintain the rhythm and to ensure that the planners, the DSS, the learners themselves, they are toiling on the right path. Otherwise, we waste a lot of time and we're not going to achieve what we want to achieve at the end of the 3 days. The period, the problem I've got here is the period. The period is too short. So the DSS agreed they may not be there throughout. Agreed they may not be there throughout, but they need to be popping as often as possible to ensure that the learners, they are on the right path. Otherwise, on the third day when we want to present this, we'll be off tangent. Thanks for those observations.
I don't know if there are any more observations. Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm Superintendent Nyame from Zambia Police. One general observation that I made yesterday from both the IMPT teams, students were not ready at the time we were going in. Meaning, it was like we just forced them to be ready, and it made them to panic when giving their presentation. So I think maybe they could be advised in good time to say we are going in, so that they set their place, so that they are ready for everything. And thereby, also when transiting to another presenter, like the last IMPT, they were panicking, which caused them to just run away from the podium without introducing the next presenter.
So that one again, it goes back to ourselves. We need to be checking them, maybe even when they are conducting the SOs, so that we guide them. So it goes back to ourselves as directed staff. Any other observation, maybe last one? If there are no more observations, we look at the program for today. So the program for today will look at the mission concept refinements and matrix. And the aim of this is to complete the planning process in accordance with the African Union doctrine. That is the planning matrix. Then the objectives for this is to complete the matrix for all objectives, including assumptions. Then you understand the fundamental functionalities, responsibilities, and coordination requirements for each cell. Coordinate the staff internally. That is the for today, activities for today. They need to drive a single cell planning, prompt collaboration between the planning cells, maintain momentum on the planning matrix, coordinate, support through mentors. Then those are what is supposed to take place today. And looking at the program for today, program. That is the program for today. This program has been circulated in all the offices. Unless there is anything, that is the end of the morning brief, sir.
It's clear, but all the days we must remind us that today is the most important day, which is going to set the motion even for coming up with the matrix, which is now which is going to lead us now into coming up with the concept. As well as been brought out, we are not going to be, on the final day, we are not going to be presenting the matrix, we'll be coming up with the concept. So let's, as Jay says, let's be on top of things, let's be thorough, and let's guide our students. We're not going to go back, we're not going to syndicates throughout, it has been clarified, but let's ensure that the rhythm is there and the tempo is maintained and the learners, they are doing the correct things. God bless you. Thank you.